Some of the most dangerous places on Earth do not look dangerous at all. They shine, they glow. They sell the oldest travel fantasy there is: warm sand, bright water, open horizon, and the feeling that for a few hours the world has become simple. A beach is supposed to mean relief, space, air, safety in plain sight. But that is exactly what makes certain beaches so deadly. They do not announce themselves like mountains in a storm or a road cut into a cliff. They do not always roar. They do not always frighten people away. Sometimes they look almost perfect. Then the current takes hold, or the reef line ends, or a predator moves through shallow water. Or the shoreline itself turns out to be part of a living system that does not care what humans think paradise should feel like. This is a film about beaches that seem to promise escape and instead expose one of the oldest mistakes people make in nature: confusing beauty with safety. On the north shore of Kauaʻi, along the Na Pali coast, Hanakāpīʻai Beach looks like the kind of place travel posters were invented for. Emerald cliffs fall toward a small sweep of sand. The trail in is famous. The view feels earned. For many visitors, arriving there creates a dangerous kind of confidence. If you made it this far, the reward must be the water. But Hanakāpīʻai is not a casual swimming beach. The ocean here is shaped by open exposure, heavy surf energy, and currents that can pull even strong swimmers into serious trouble. There is no protective resort logic here, no convenient urban beachfront, no easy roadside rescue. The beach sits in a place where the sea gets to behave like itself. That matters because beach danger is rarely just about whether the water looks rough. A shoreline can seem swimmable from 10 feet away and still be structured to remove a person from control in seconds. Rip currents do not need cinematic waves. They need water piling in and finding a fast way back out. Shore break does not need a storm. It just needs wave energy collapsing hard in the wrong place. At Hanakāpīʻai, isolation makes every mistake more expensive. Even before anyone enters the surf, the geography is already part of the threat. Distance, terrain, delayed rescue. A beach that feels like discovery can quickly become a place where discovery turns into exposure. That pattern repeats across the world. A beautiful beach persuades people to interpret what they see emotionally. Blue means calm, sun means safe, sand means simple. But beaches are systems, not scenery. On the Pacific coast of Oaxaca, Zipolite stretches wide under heat and bright light. The atmosphere is loose, social, almost dreamy. And for years, the place has carried a name that tells a very different story: the Beach of the Dead. That nickname has helped build the beach's legend, but the real danger is less mythical and more useful to understand. Strong surf, strong pull, conditions that change through the day, the kind of water that lets people wade in without realizing how little margin they actually have. One of the most dangerous things a beach can be is inviting, not obviously violent, not closed off, not ringed with dramatic cliffs or warning sirens, just open enough that ordinary people assume ordinary rules apply. That is where many drownings begin. A person does not need to do something reckless in the cinematic sense. Often the mistake is smaller, going in alone, underestimating fatigue, assuming a few strong strokes can solve a moving body of water, realizing too late that the sea is not pushing straight at shore, but dragging sideways, outward, or in a rotating pattern that breaks orientation. By the time panic arrives, technique usually leaves with it. What makes beaches like Zipolite so unsettling is that the killing mechanism is often invisible from shore, not hidden in darkness, hidden in normal daylight. Families can stand on sand and misread the whole place because the danger is dynamic, not theatrical. Then, Australia raises the stakes.
Cape Tribulation in far north Queensland is one of those rare coastlines where the landscape feels almost too dramatic to be real. Rainforest pours down toward the sea, mountains crowd the horizon, the Great Barrier Reef lies offshore. It looks ancient, lush, and alive. It is. That is the problem. At Cape Tribulation, the beach is not just a place where swimmers must read water correctly. It is a place where the surrounding ecosystem carries multiple forms of danger at once. Estuarine crocodiles move through these coastal waters and river mouths. Dangerous marine stingers can be present in season and in some conditions beyond it. Local warnings are not decorative, they are a translation of ecological reality. This is where tourism instinct can become dangerously misplaced. In many beach destinations, the waterline means recreation. Here, it can mean exposure to an apex reptile or a venomous animal that does not look like a threat until contact is already made. And unlike the cinematic shark image that dominates popular imagination, these hazards do not need deep offshore water or dramatic fin sightings. They exist at the edge, in the shallows, near creek mouths, in warm coastal water where people are most likely to relax. Cape Tribulation forces a harder truth into view. Not every paradise beach is lying in the same way. Some deceive with current, some with access, some with wildlife, some with the false assumption that a beach is automatically a human leisure zone. In reality, many are simply the outer edge of a working habitat. On nK'gari, formerly known to many visitors as Fraser Island, the contradiction becomes even more extreme. The beach seems endless: bright sand, open sky, long surf line, huge space. To the eye, it reads as freedom. But parts of nK'gari's coast are a lesson in why visual openness has almost nothing to do with safety. Ocean swimming is widely discouraged there for very practical reasons: strong currents, unpatrolled beaches, sharks, and marine stingers. What looks like a giant public beach is, in reality, a remote, wild edge. And the danger does not stop when people step out of the water. nK'gari is also known for dingo encounters serious enough that visitors are given explicit safety guidance. Keep children close. Walk in groups, do not run, secure food, do not treat a wild animal like a beachside curiosity. The island punishes a certain kind of tourist thinking, the belief that a beautiful place is automatically there to welcome intimate human contact.
That is one reason beaches can be more dangerous than people expect. They look familiar. Sand underfoot feels domestic, almost urban, even when the setting is remote. Beaches trick the brain into merging wilderness with leisure. A desert announces itself. A jungle often does too. A beach, especially in bright daylight, can look like public space. On nK'gari, that illusion fails in every direction. The sea is not a safe swim. The wildlife on land is not a petting zoo backdrop. The scale of the shoreline increases distance from help. And the beauty of the place can make people careless before they ever understand what kind of coast they are standing on. Then comes Boa Viagem in Recife, Brazil, and with it one of the film's most important turns. Because this is not some remote cove at the edge of a trail, this is a major urban beach. High-rises, traffic, daily life, a city shore. The kind of place people instinctively trust more because civilization is visible from the sand. Yet Boa Viagem became internationally known for something most city beachgoers do not expect to factor into an ordinary swim: shark attacks. The water here can look calm, inviting, and entirely accessible. But the history of incidents off the Recife area forced a public confrontation with a brutal fact. A beach can be lined with buildings, roads, and warning signs, and still remain part of a marine environment shaped by larger ecological and coastal forces. That matters
because Boa Viagem also complicates the idea that deadly beaches are only about untouched wilderness. In Recife, discussion around shark incidents has long involved changes to the coastal environment, port development, patterns of marine movement, and the uneasy overlap between human expansion and animal habitat. The result is not a horror story detached from reality. It is more disturbing than that. It is a modern shoreline where natural behavior and human alteration meet in the worst possible way. That is one of the biggest reveals in this entire subject. Paradise can become deadly not only because nature is wild, but because people reshape coasts without controlling all the consequences. A lethal beach is not always born. Sometimes it is made more dangerous. And across all these places, the same psychological trap keeps appearing. Humans are visual creatures. We trust brightness, we trust familiarity, we trust other people already standing there. If the sand is full of footprints and the water is blue, the mind begins to relax before the body has earned that right. But beaches are physical equations: wave period, bottom shape, channel flow, reef gaps, river outflow, season, salinity, animal movement, visibility, rescue time, tides, weather upstream, not just overhead. The water does not care what the brochure showed last year, what somebody did yesterday, or how confident a visitor feels today. And the deadliest part is often speed. A current does not need a long argument. A crocodile does not need to be seen first. A jellyfish does not need to look impressive. A shark incident does not need to happen often to remain life-changing when it does. On a beach, the interval between ordinary and irreversible can be almost nothing. That is why the most dangerous beaches on Earth are not always the ugliest, the roughest, or the most remote-looking. Often they are the ones that make people lower their guard too early, the ones that create emotional permission before physical understanding. Hanakāpīʻai offers the postcard Hawaiian cove and hides Pacific force inside it. Zipolite offers warmth and freedom and punishes bad judgment in moving water. Cape Tribulation places swimmers on the edge of an ecosystem where danger is biological as well as physical. nK'gari looks like open coastal bliss while surrounding visitors with hazard on land and sea. Boa Viagem proves that even a crowded city shoreline can become a place where the old deal between humans and the beach has broken down. What joins them is not a single killer, it is misreading. Misreading water, misreading wildlife, misreading distance, misreading the difference between a place built for tourism and a place merely visited by it. A beach is not safe because it is beautiful. It is not safe because others are there. It is not safe because the sky is clear, the sand is white, or the entry looks easy. It is safe only when the forces acting on that shoreline allow it to be safe, and when the people entering it understand what those forces are. That is the hardest lesson in all of this. Paradise is not the opposite of danger. Sometimes paradise is the disguise danger wears best.